G'day, AJ Mahari here. To talk about being on the other side of somebody with narcissistic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, or sometimes co-morbidly both, that render them emotionally unavailable, perhaps aloof, perhaps really arrogant, perhaps, just self-absorbed. There is something that I know from my own personal experience and vast experience as a life coach, working with many clients who work through these kind of issues, when they've been in relationships that have been really painful and really hurtful. Something I know on the other side of the work, the process, the grief and the anger, and the really unbelievable pain, and that is that there really is a way out of it, number one, okay? You need to make different choices, and you need to know that it might be painful, and you might be angry for a time, you might be depressed for a time, you might have grief for a time. But then on the other side of all of that, not only is there more emotional equanimity or, peace and freedom and kind of healthier things to look forward to, healthier people to meet and know and invest in that kind of thing. But there's also this gratitude. And what I want to share right here, I had a relationship with somebody who had borderline personality disorder and narcissistic personality disorder. It was one of the most painful experiences of my life. I guess probably next to what I went through with my parents and as a child growing up, of course. Although they were comparable, I must say. So this individual, was really abusive to me. And a lot of things happened that were so not okay. Very unethical, I write about a bit of this relationship in my ebook available at phoenixrisingpublications.ca called Full Circle, Lessons for Non-Borderlines, because I focus mostly on the BPD stuff. I'm going to be writing more about my experience on the other side of those with NPD as well. And so, watch for that at phoenixrisingpublications.ca. If you're in a relationship with someone who's personality disorder, or you're just out of one, or you're still really angry, you're still really hurting or confused, or still maybe investing in trying to help this person out that you care about, fair enough, though that's a painful place to be, then this part of my message might be, or this message might anger you or frustrate you. But what I want to say is that, you're really worth investing a whole lot more in than a person who isn't taking personal responsibility to invest in their own recovery, to invest in growing beyond the kind of painful ways in which they behave and treat you and other people. Why do I say that? Well, because what I learned on the other side, after I got over the relationship, after I got out of it, number one, after I got over it, was that it was a very profoundly painful experience being in this relationship with someone with BPD, NPD, and it was so many years after I'd recovered from BPD myself. And how could that happen to me at this point in time? Because it kind of threatened, as I think I talk about in my ebook, Full Circle, it kind of threatened everything I'd built, everything I'd gone through, all that therapy for. I thought, oh my God, maybe I'm losing my mind again. Maybe I'm losing myself. Maybe I didn't know myself at all. It was a real profound and intense threat to my mental health. It was so painful. And I got caught in all the traps, all the traps that I'm life coaching people with right now to help them to get themselves out of, wanting to rescue her, focusing more on her than myself. In a situation with, my ex and me, how that relationship developed, which is in the book Full Circle, Lessons for Non-Borderlines, was totally unethical and was abusive in its very nature. And I am still to this day a little embarrassed about it. It's probably why I don't actually just come out and say it in video. I'm like, read the ebook, you'll get the story. It was hard enough to write the ebook, but I thought it was important, to share what I learned, and also to just kind of share that particular chapter, if you will, of how I let something I thought incredibly stupid happen to me. I was really hard on myself for a while. I thought, how could I be so stupid? I should know better. You know, my father BPD, NPD, my mother BPD, me, I had BPD. I used to treat people that way. I should have known better, right? I should have been able to avoid it. But, you know, I think we have to radically accept that sometimes some people are going to cross our path in life for reasons that are just, you know, we can't imagine. And that's kind of what is so painful about it all. But on the other side of the work, okay, the letting go and the grief and the loss and the anger and all of the stuff that maybe you're trying to avoid, okay, maybe you're still in a situation because you're trying to avoid all of that stuff and that work. Like, I am so grateful now for that relationship, for all that went wrong, for this thing that never, quote, should have happened, unquote, because it really took me to the depths of something that I still needed to learn. And I think, you know, these relationships always do present us with things that we still really need to learn. We may not want to know that. We may not want to learn what it is we have to learn, because if it was easy to learn, we would have learned it a long time ago, right? I mean, I really didn't think much of this person at the end or halfway through the relationship and at the end, and I was so angry for a good year or so. Went through a lot of things, a lot of emotions, and a lot of self-recrimination about how could I have let somebody treat me this way. I have to say that now I'm just so grateful for the experience. And the real trick is not only to learn the lessons from this painful place you might be in right now with somebody with BPD or NPD or co-morbidly both, but to realize that you really will, when you embrace the lessons and the growth and the pain and the grief and the anger and the process, you really will come out the other side when you look at what it is that you need to learn. But I think it's fair to say that when we have these really painful experiences, we have to be grateful for them. Well, I guess you don't have to be, but I've learned that spiritually it behooves us, it's in our best interest, to have an attitude of gratitude and radically accept them and all that they seek to bring to us in our lives.